What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back for one last NFL Showdown breakdown for the Super Bowl. Of course, Super Bowl 54 coming up between the Chiefs and the Niners on Sunday, courtesy of Osmo.com. As you might expect, there are gigantic tournaments across the DFS industry for the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, so they asked me to break out the breakdown one last time. So let's get that power of positivity one more time for the NFL season. And right now, please hit that like button and also comment your slate breaker for the Super Bowl down below. We'll talk about some guys who have a decent shot at going off at very low ownership, but give me your guesses at who breaks the Super Bowl slate down in the comments below. But if you don't know the drill by now, we've got no time to waste here in these showdown breakdowns, so let's get right into our first group of the quarterback to Super Bowl 54 and Jimmy Garoppolo in a game versus the Chiefs, where there's 26.5 implied points for San Francisco. Garoppolo has thrown just 27 passes overall so far in 2 playoff rounds, but he's a very logical play in lineups that assume Kansas City has success first, a situation that also makes Jimmy G a pivot or addition to San Francisco's very chalky run game. Garoppolo is cheap and an interesting captain option in lineups that assume San Francisco trails, but he should be barely played in lineups centered around the run game that really should find success somehow against Kansas City's 58 graded run defense by PFF. And on the other side, of course, we have Patrick Mahomes in this game versus San Francisco, where there's 28 implied points for Kansas City. Mahomes is the top projected player on the slate by a decent margin, so he should be exceedingly popular as a regular play, but maybe a little bit underowned so far as a captain option. Mahomes has been a monster so far these playoffs with over 35 fantasy points in both games. It's hard to imagine a lineup that doesn't have him, but a lineup without him is infinitely more contrarian, even if it could end up a bit foolish if the game breaks as expected. And now into our next group in this showdown breakdown of the running backs, starting with San Francisco's running backs versus Kansas City. Raheem Mostert went nuts in the NFC title game with 29 carries for 220 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he should see the first chance for carries against the Kansas City run defense that gave up 4.9 yards per rush this year. Mostert's high price makes him currently projected to be underowned as both a regular roster spot and captain, but he seems like he should be played other than in lineups that assume he struggles and Tevin Coleman heats up after he was knocked out of the game versus Green Bay early on. And on the other side, we have Damian Williams in the Kansas City running backs versus San Francisco. Williams feels like less of a must play than one of the San Francisco running backs, but he saw 22 touches in their last game against a tough Tennessee run defense, and San Francisco has allowed some ground production with 4.5 yards per rush on the year. Williams' role seems very secure, with Darwin Thompson getting just 1 carry and 1 target in the AFC title game, but LaShawn McCoy's status could be something to keep an eye on, worth a little bit of ownership if he were active and Williams underachieves. And now next up, let's talk about the wide receivers and tight ends, starting with San Francisco's receivers versus Kansas City. Deebo Samuel led San Francisco in targets with 2 in the NFC title game, so it's hard to get a read on this offense in its current form, but I'm slightly more intrigued by the discounted Emmanuel Sanders with how little he's been deployed these playoffs compared to his higher touchdown equity on the year. George Kittle is a big question mark, with him having run just 8 routes in the NFC title game, as he was used for his elite run blocking skills. If you have a lineup that assumes San Francisco trails, Kittle should be way more involved, while if you had a San Francisco running back at captain, or if you include the Niners defense, I'd be less inclined to include a very highly owned Kittle. And on the other side, you have the much more involved Kansas City receivers versus San Francisco. All the Kansas City receivers will find tough coverage outside, and that does make Sammy Watkins' big AFC title game workload appealing, but it does seem like Kansas City could really test the corners with Tyreek Hill, give him a shot at more upside than he's had so far in these playoffs. San Francisco has really thwarted tight ends this year with a 32% DVOA decrease in production of the position, so I'm intrigued by lineups with Mahomes at captain stacked with Tyreek and Watkins, or DeMarcus Robinson and Mecole Hardman, with less Travis Kelce than the field's expected 50%-ish ownership. And now last up, let's talk about the defenses and the kickers, starting with Kansas City's defense versus San Francisco. Jimmy G has a notable 2.7% interception rate this year, and Kansas City could capitalize if they pull out to an early lead, so they seem worth some exposure, especially when stacked with Kansas City's pass game. And on the other side, you have the Niners defense versus the Chiefs. The Niners defense does seem a little underowned given how they're leveraged on a ton of ownership for Kansas City skill players, but the field's projected 22% ownership feels close to where they should be, with additional value in defensive/kicker heavy lineups that assume the game becomes a slog despite its high 54.5 over-under. And lastly, we have the real stars of the football season, the kickers. Robbie Gould projects as the better value of the 2 kickers, with it very possible that Kansas City's defense stiffens up in the red zone with a surprisingly low 4.2 points per red zone visit that they allowed this season. And on the other side, Harrison Butker projects for more raw points than Gould, but at a slightly higher price, and the idea of playing him with Gould is at least a little more interesting than the field's projected ownership for both guys. So that's what I'm seeing so far for the Super Bowl showdown slate between an offense that won't stop and a defense that won't quit. So right now, please hit that like button, and also let me know who you think is going to be the slate breaker of the Super Bowl slate down in the comments below. And of course, we have player projections and ownership projections, as well as all the other data at your fingertips if you use this special Super Bowl promo code LIV right now at osmo.com/join. In honor of Super Bowl LIV, you can get yourself 30 days for $54 of all of our data on the site. So that includes this NFL content, as well as NBA, NHL, PGA, MMA, all the other sports going right now. Get a platinum all access Osmo pass to all of our data right now for $54 for 30 days right now if you use the promo code LIV at osmo.com/join. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. I've got got a ton of content across the NFL and NBA, and a lot of shows for the Super Bowl coming up over the next few days. So check me out right now on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. Hope this video helps you guys out, and it should be a fun Super Bowl. Hopefully more fun than last year's one where the Patriots ruined it for everybody. But I'll see you guys again soon. I don't know when. Watch me on the NBA videos, I guess. So enjoy your Super Bowl. Eat all the fattening foods that make your heart content, and I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy and good luck.